You step through the fog, the air thick and cold, clinging to your skin like damp silk. The temple grounds stretch before you, a sprawl of ancient stones and gnarled trees, their branches twisting like skeletal fingers against the moonless sky. Kyoto's ghost temple looms ahead, its silhouette barely visible through the mist, a hulking shape that seems to breathe. Your boots crunch on gravel, each step louder than it should be, and then there it is, a whisper. Not the wind, not your imagination, but a soft, hissing sound like voices just out of reach. You freeze, heart thumping, straining to make out words. Are they calling you closer or warning you to run? The air smells of wet moss and something sharper, like old iron or forgotten sorrow. You'd laugh it off, maybe it's just the late hour playing tricks, but the sound grows, slithering from the temple's walls. This place, known as Horinji to locals, was built in 1603, or so the records say. It's a verified fact, carved into Kyoto's historical archives, that a shogun ordered its construction after a military victory. But the locals don't talk about victories, they whisper about what happened after, about nights when the temple's walls seemed to hum with voices no one could trace. You take another step, and the gravel feels softer now, almost like it's pulling you in. The gate ahead is weathered, its red lacquer chipped, revealing splintered wood beneath. You notice a faint carving, a lotus flower, half erased by time. It's an odd detail not mentioned in guidebooks, but a temple caretaker once swore it appeared overnight in 1650, etched by no human hand. Scholars argue over it, some calling it a prank, others a sign of restless spirits tied to the temple's founding. You're not sure what to believe, but the carving feels like it's watching you. The fog thickens, curling around your legs like a living thing. You hear it again, those whispers, sharper now, almost forming words. Turn back, you think you hear, but it's so faint it could be your mind filling in the gaps. You'd make a joke about needing a coffee to stay sharp, but your throat feels tight. The temple's history is murky, built on a site where an older shrine once stood, one dedicated to a forgotten deity of the forest. Historians debate whether the shogun raised that shrine deliberately, angering something ancient. No one agrees, but the locals avoid this place after dusk. Oh, you notice your candle? Did you bring one? Flickers in your hand, though there's no breeze. That's the thing about Horinji. It doesn't follow rules. The whispers grow louder, and you realize they're not coming from the wind or the trees. They're coming from the walls themselves. You step closer, the gate creaking as you push it open, and the air turns colder still. Your eyes adjust to the dimness, catching glints of faded gold on the temple's eaves. A peculiar detail sticks out. A single bell hangs by the gate, rusted and still, yet you swear you heard a faint chime earlier. No one's touched it in years, or so the villagers claim. You'd smirk, maybe say something about overactive imaginations, but the sound of your own breathing feels too loud now. The path ahead slopes downward, leading to the main hall where shadows pool like ink. You feel a prickle on your neck as if someone or something is standing just behind you. The whispers don't stop, and as you move forward, they seem to follow, threading through the fog like a needle through cloth. You're not alone here, are you? You push past the creaking gate, the fog swirling thicker now, like it's trying to hold you back. The temple's main courtyard opens before you, a sprawl of cracked stone tiles and withered cherry trees, their petals long gone, leaving bare branches clawing at the sky. The air carries a musty scent, like damp wood and something sour, maybe the ghost of incense burned centuries ago. Your footsteps echo, too loud in the stillness. and you can't shake the feeling that each step is being answered by another softer tread, just out of sync. You pause, listening, but all you hear is that whisper again, slithering from the temple's wooden walls. It's not words, not exactly, but it feels personal, like it knows you're here. You'd mutter something about needing a flashlight app, but your phone feels heavy in your pocket, useless in this haze. History tells us Horinji was founded in 1603 by a shogun named Tokugawa Ieyasu, a fact etched into Kyoto's records after his victory at Sekigahara. The temple was meant to honor the dead, a monument to peace. But there's a detail the official scrolls don't mention. The land it sits on was cursed, or so the locals believed. They say the shogun ignored warnings from a village elder who claimed the site belonged to an older, nameless deity, one that didn't take kindly to trespassers. Scholars debate this, with some dismissing it as folklore, while others point to old records of strange illnesses among the temple's first monks. You step toward the main hall, its sliding doors warped and stained, half open like a mouth waiting to swallow you. The whispers grow sharper, almost forming a name. Yours, maybe? You shake your head, trying to laugh it off. Maybe it's just jet lag, right? Except you haven't traveled recently. The courtyard feels smaller now, the fog pressing in, making the trees look like hunched figures, watching you. You notice a stone lantern, its base covered in moss, but the wick inside glows faintly, impossibly without fuel. That's not in any history book, but a groundskeeper in the 1700s swore he saw it light itself on stormy nights. You joke about faulty wiring, but this is 17th century Japan. No wires, just shadows. The air grows colder, and you pull your jacket tighter, though it doesn't help. The whispers are louder here, coming from the hall's walls, a low hum that vibrates in your chest. You step closer, and the floorboards groan underfoot, not just from your weight. There's a rhythm to it, like someone else is walking nearby, matching your pace. You glance back, but the fog hides everything. Your candle, if you're still holding one, flickers wildly, casting jagged shadows that seem to move on their own. The temple's history is steeped in whispers of betrayal. They say a priestess lived here, devoted to the shogun's cause, but something went wrong. Her name's lost, erased from records, but her presence lingers. You feel it now, a heaviness in the air, like eyes on your back. The sliding doors are closer, and you notice scratches on the wood, faint but deep, like nails dragged in desperation. No one knows who made them, but locals swear they appeared after a fire in 1610 that never touched the temple itself, just the village nearby. You reach out, your fingers brushing the door, and the whispers stop. For a moment, it's silent. Too silent. Then from inside, a single, clear word. Leave. You'd laugh, say it's just your mind, but your hand's trembling. The fog feels alive now, curling around you like fingers. And the temple waits. You hesitate at the sliding doors, the word leave still ringing in your ears, sharp and cold like a blade. The fog seems to press closer, wrapping the temple's main hall in a shroud, its wooden beams looming like ribs of some ancient beast. You step inside, and the air shifts, thicker, heavier, with a faint smell of charred paper and something sweeter like rotting fruit. The floor creaks under your weight, each step answered by a softer echo, as if someone's trailing you, just out of sight. The whispers are back, softer now, weaving through the hall like threads, coming from nowhere and everywhere. You'd quip about needing earplugs for ghosts, but your mouth feels dry and the darkness seems to swallow your voice. This hall was where she lived, the priestess, unnamed in records, who served Horinji in its early days. Historical accounts confirm a woman of high spiritual rank tended the temple in 1603, offering prayers for the shogun's fallen soldiers. But there's a detail the scrolls skip: she never left. Villagers claimed her chants echoed long after her supposed death, heard on moonless nights like this one. Scholars argue over her fate. Some say she retired to a convent, others insist she was sealed within the temple, a sacrifice to appease whatever cursed this place. You move deeper, your candle's flame trembling, casting shadows that twist like figures in prayer. The walls are lined with faded murals, lotus flowers and cranes. But one panel catches your eye, a woman's silhouette, her face scratched out, as if someone wanted her forgotten. No one knows who defaced it, but a 17th century monk's journal mentions a presence that unnerved the temple's keepers. The air grows colder, and you notice your breath fogging, though it's not that cold, or is it? You joke about needing a heater, but the silence feels fragile, like it's waiting for you to break it. The altar ahead is small, carved from dark wood, with a single bell resting on it, tarnished and still. You swear you hear it hum, a low vibration that crawls up your spine. The whispers seem to come from there, curling around the altar like smoke. You step closer and the floorboards groan, not just under you but behind you too. You spin around, nothing but shadows. The priestess's story is murky, tied to a betrayal no one fully understands. Some say she defied the shogun, hiding a secret that threatened his rule. Others claim she saw something in the temple's depths that changed her, made her part of this place. You feel it now, a weight in the air like her eyes are on you, watching from the dark. Your candle flickers again, and you notice a faint outline on the floor, a trapdoor barely visible, its edges sealed with wax. No record mentions it, but a local tale from the 1650s speaks of a hidden chamber where the priestess held her final ritual. You'd laugh, say it's just old architecture, but the wax looks fresh, untouched by dust. The whispers grow, forming half words. Stay, see. And you feel a pull, like the temple wants you to open it. Your heart's pounding, and the shadows seem to lean closer, waiting. You stand frozen before the trapdoor, its wax seal gleaming faintly in the candlelight, as if it's been waiting for you. The whispers are louder now, curling from the walls of Horinji's main hall. Not words, but a low, rhythmic hum that vibrates in your bones. The air smells of damp wood and something acrid, like burnt herbs, stinging your nose. You glance at the murals, their faded cranes and lotuses staring back, and notice the scratched-out face of the priestess again, her silhouette seeming to shift in the flickering light. Your shadow moves too, but it feels off, stretching too long across the floor. You joke about needing better lighting, but the hum grows sharper, almost accusatory, as if the walls know you're here uninvited. The wooden walls of this temple, built in 1603, are famous, or infamous, among Kyoto's locals. Historical records confirm the timber came from a sacred forest, felled under the shogun's orders, despite protests from village elders. But there's a lesser-known detail. The carpenters reported strange sounds during construction, like voices trapped in the grain. A 17th century journal, buried in a Kyoto archive, describes workers quitting after hearing their own names whispered at night. Scholars debate whether this was mass hysteria or something older, tied to the land's forgotten deity. You step closer to the wall, your fingers brushing the wood, and it feels warm, almost pulsing. The whispers spike, forming fragments. Who dares? And you pull back, heart racing. You'd quip about overactive imaginations, but the air feels heavier now, pressing on your chest. The altar looms nearby, its tarnished bell still humming faintly, though no one's touched it. You notice a crack in the wall behind it, barely visible, leaking a draft that smells of wet stone and decay. No history book mentions this, but a local storyteller in the 1700s claimed the walls spoke to those who lingered too long, repeating secrets they shouldn't know. You feel it now, a sense that the temple is watching, its beams holding memories that don't want to stay buried. Your candle flickers wildly, casting shadows that twist like fingers reaching out. You'd say it's just a draft, but the floor creaks behind you, a deliberate step, too heavy to be your echo. You turn, but the hall is empty, except for the fog, seeping in through the open doors, thicker than before. The whispers shift, now coming from all sides. A chorus that feels alive, crawling over your skin. You try to focus, but the wall's warmth lingers on your fingertips, unnatural for this chilly night. The temple's history hints at a betrayal tied to the priestess, maybe a secret she hid in these walls. You notice a faint carving near the crack, a spiral, crude and deep, like it was scratched in haste. No one knows who made it, but villagers swear it marks where the whispers are loudest. Your pulse quickens as the hum grows and you feel a tug, like the walls want you to listen closer. The shadows stretch and the whispers form a word. Stay. The word stay hangs in the air, a sharp whisper that feels like a hook in your chest. You're standing in Horinji's main hall, the walls humming with that eerie cadence, their wooden beams seeming to lean closer, as if listening. The air is thick with the scent of mildew and something metallic, like old blood or rusted iron, catching in your throat. Your candle's flame gutters, casting jagged shadows that flicker across the altar, where the tarnished bell sits silent now, though you swear it vibrated moments ago. The creak of the floorboards comes again, not from your steps, but from behind, deliberate and slow, like someone pacing in the dark. You joke about needing a map to escape this place, but your voice feels trapped, swallowed by the heavy air. The night of the betrayal is a cornerstone of Horinji's dark legend, rooted in a real event from 1603. Historical records confirm a samurai, loyal to Tokugawa Ieyasu, was stationed at the temple to guard its sacred relics. But whispers among Kyoto's archivists tell a grim twist. He broke his oath, betraying the priestess who served here. No one knows why. Some say he stole a relic for power, others claim he was driven mad by the temple's whispers. A rare 17th century letter found in a Kyoto monastery hints he was seen fleeing the temple at midnight, his sword bloodied, though no body was found. Scholars argue over the blood source, human or ritualistic offering, but the locals believe the priestess's spirit never forgave him. You step toward the altar, and the floor groans again, too loud, too close. The shadows shift, forming shapes that look like a man with a sword, then dissolve. You notice a faint stain on the altar's base, dark and uneven, like spilled ink that never dried. It's not in any official record, but a villager's tale from the 1650s claims it appeared the night the samurai fled, marking the betrayal. You'd quip about it being bad housekeeping, but the air feels charged, like a storm's brewing inside the hall. The whispers return, sharper now, weaving through the beams. Betrayer. Gone. And you feel a chill, as if the priestess's gaze is boring into you. Your candle flickers and you catch a glint in the corner, a rusted sword fragment, half buried in the floor's dust. No historian mentions it, but it feels like a clue, heavy with intent. You step back, and the creaking follows closer now, as if the samurai's steps are echoing through time. The fog outside seeps into the hall, curling around your ankles, cold and damp. You feel a pull toward the altar, like the temple wants you to touch that stain. The whispers grow, not just from the walls, but from below, under the trap door you saw earlier. You'd laugh, say it's just old pipes, but this temple has no plumbing, just secrets. The shadows twist again, and for a moment, you swear you see her. The priestess, a silhouette in the fog, her eyes hollow. Your heart skips, and the whispers hiss. Find him. The whisper, find him, clings to you, sharp and cold, like a splinter under your skin. You're still in Horinji's main hall, the altar looming before you, its dark stains seeming to pulse in the candlelight. The air is heavy with a cloying scent, like overripe plums mixed with wet earth, making your stomach turn. The fog from outside has crept further in, pooling around the trapdoor's wax seal, which glints as if freshly poured. The walls hum again, their whispers now a low chant, weaving through the beams like a lullaby gone wrong. You hear a faint scrape, not from your boots, but from the altar itself, as if something inside is shifting. You'd quip about needing a ghost hunting app, but your pulse is too loud in your ears, drowning out any humor. The altar holds secrets, and history confirms it was the heart of Horinji's rituals in 1603, used by the priestess for offerings to the shogun's dead. But there's a hidden detail, rarely spoken of. Scrolls, sealed in a compartment beneath the altar, were found in 1670 by a monk cleaning the hall. These weren't prayers but warnings written in the priestess's hand, describing a curse tied to the temple's founding. Scholars debate their authenticity. Some call them a monk's forgery, others believe they're proof of a ritual gone wrong. You kneel by the altar, your fingers brushing its edge, and feel a groove, barely noticeable, like a hidden panel. The wood is warm, unnaturally so, and the whispers spike, open, no, urging you forward. You hesitate, heart thudding, as the scrape comes again, louder from within. The trapdoor nearby seems to watch you, its wax seal glistening like an eye. You notice a faint mark on it, spiral like the one on the wall, etched deep, as if scratched in anger. No record mentions this, but a Kyoto storyteller in the 18th century claimed the priestess hid her final words under the altar, cursing the samurai who betrayed her. You'd laugh, say it's just old wood settling, but the air feels electric, prickling your skin. The candle's flame dips, nearly dying, and the shadows twist, forming shapes, hands maybe, reaching from the altar's base. The fog thickens, curling up your legs, and you swear you hear a woman's voice, soft but clear, chanting something you can't understand. Your fingers hover over the groove, and the scraping stops, replaced by a heavy silence that presses on your chest. You glance at the murals, their cranes and lotuses now barely visible in the gloom. The priestess's defaced silhouette seems closer, her outline sharper, as if she's stepped out of the wall. The whispers return, not from the walls, but from the altar itself, a chorus of "find him" that makes your breath catch. You'd joke about needing a break, maybe a coffee, but the temple feels alive, its pulse matching yours. The fog swirls and you feel a tug, like the altar wants you to pry it open. The air grows colder, and the shadows lean in, waiting for your next move. The lantern's glow pulses, a steady heartbeat in the fog-choked hall, and you feel its light tugging at you, as if it knows you're here. Horinji's main hall feels smaller now, the walls closing in, their wooden beams creaking in a rhythm that mimics your steps. The air carries a sour tang, like vinegar left too long, mixed with the faint musk of old tatami mats. You turn from the lantern, your candle barely clinging to life, and notice the fog has thickened, curling through the open doors like fingers probing the dark. Then you hear it, footsteps, not yours, echoing down the corridor ahead, slow and deliberate as if someone's pacing just out of sight. You'd quip about needing a GPS for haunted temples, but your breath catches and the whispers return, slithering from the walls. Follow, find, urging you deeper. This corridor, part of Horinji's original 1603 layout, was used by monks for silent meditation, a fact noted in Kyoto's temple records. But there's a detail rarely shared. Villagers avoided it after dusk, claiming footsteps echoed when no one walked. A 17th century scroll hidden in a local archive mentions a monk who fled Horinji after hearing steps that followed him, stopping only when he left the grounds. Scholars debate whether it was wind through the temple's old structure or something else, tied to the priestess's betrayal. You move toward the corridor, each step heavier, as the footsteps ahead pause, then start again. Closer now. The air grows colder, your breath visible, and the whispers sharpen, almost forming your name. You'd laugh, say it's just echoes, but the sound feels too human, too intentional. The corridor is narrow, its walls lined with faded shoji screens torn in places, letting slivers of moonlight, or is it the lantern's glow, spill through. You notice a mark on the floor, a scuff that looks fresh, like someone dragged their foot. No history book mentions it, but a 1700s villager's tale claims the priestess walked this corridor nightly, searching for the samurai who betrayed her. Your candle flickers and the shadows shift, stretching into shapes that look like a figure holding a sword, then dissolving. The footsteps stop, and the silence is worse, heavy, like the temple's holding its breath. You joke about needing noise-cancelling headphones, but your heart's pounding too loud. You step deeper, and the fog follows, cold and damp, clinging to your skin. The whispers grow, now coming from the screens, a soft chant that feels like it's pulling you forward. You see a door at the corridor's end, half open, revealing only darkness. The footsteps start again, not ahead, but behind you, slow and steady, matching your pace. You turn, but the fog hides everything, and the whispers hiss, "He's here," as if the priestess is pointing you to her betrayer. Your candle dims, and the corridor feels alive, waiting for you to decide. The footsteps behind you stop, but the silence is worse, thick and heavy, like the temple itself is holding its breath. You're in Horinji's narrow corridor, the fog swirling at your feet, carrying a damp, earthy smell laced with something sour, like spoiled rice wine. The shoji screens along the walls are tattered, their paper slits letting in faint glints of moonlight, or maybe the lantern's glow, still burning impossibly in the hall behind you. The whispers are back, softer now, seeping from the floor itself, a low murmur. Down, look, pulling your gaze to the trapdoor you saw earlier, its wax seal gleaming in the dim light. You hear a faint drip, like water hitting stone, coming from below. You'd quip about calling a plumber for haunted leaks, but your skin prickles, and the air feels charged like a storm's about to break. Horinji's history mentions a well beneath the temple, noted in a 1603 blueprint as a water source for rituals. But there's a chilling detail rarely shared. It was sealed after the priestess's time, its cover bolted and waxed shut, never to be opened. A 17th century monk's journal found in a Kyoto archive claims the well was closed after strange sounds echoed from its depths, cries, some said, or laughter. Scholars debate the cause, groundwater acoustics or local superstition, but villagers swore the priestess's final ritual happened there, binding her curse to the temple. You kneel by the trapdoor, its spiral carving stark against the wax, and the drip grows louder, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. The whispers shift. Truth, below. and you feel a pull, like the well wants you to break its seal. You'd laugh, say it's just old plumbing, but the wax looks fresh, untouched by dust. The fog curls tighter, cold against your ankles, and your candle's flame dips, nearly dying. You notice a faint stain around the trapdoor's edge, dark and uneven like blood that never dried. No record mentions it, but a 1700s folktale claims the priestess threw something, or someone, into the well before it was sealed. The drip echoes again, and you swear it's not water but something thicker, heavier. You joke about needing a hazmat suit, but the air feels alive, pressing on your chest. The shoji screens rustle, though there's no breeze, and the shadows behind them shift, forming a woman's outline, her head tilted as if listening. The whispers grow, now a chant, urging you to lift the trapdoor and face what's below. Your fingers brush the wax, and it's warm, almost soft, like it was poured yesterday. The drip stops and the silence is deafening, broken only by a faint sigh from the well, like a breath held too long. The fog swirls and the priestess's shadow seems closer, her presence heavy in the air. You feel it now, her anger, her sorrow pulling you to uncover the truth. The whispers hiss, "Open! No!" And your heart pounds. The trapdoor, waiting like a locked secret, feels smooth, too perfect, as if it was sealed yesterday. You're crouched in Horinji's corridor, the trapdoor's wax seal glinting under your flickering candle, its spiral carving seeming to twist in the light. The air is thick with that sour, wine-like smell, now mixed with a wet stone odor, like a cave exposed to rain. The whispers hum from below, a low chant. Truth, below, that crawls up your spine, urging you to act. The drip from the well is louder, not just water, but something heavier. Each drop echoing like a stone tossed into the dark. You'd quip about needing a bucket for this haunted plumbing, but your fingers tremble as they hover over the trapdoor, the wax cool but somehow alive under your touch. The well's existence is documented in Horinji's 1603 records, built to supply water for the priestess's rituals. But a lesser-known account, scribbled in a 1680s village ledger, claims it was sealed after a monk heard cries at midnight, not human, but like the wind mourning. Scholars argue over this. Some say it was just acoustics from underground streams. Others point to local tales of a ritual gone wrong, tying the priestess's betrayal to the well's depths. You notice the wax is cracked at the edges, as if someone or something tried to pry it open. The whispers grow sharper, forming fragments. See! Her! And the air feels colder, your breath fogging in the dim corridor. You joke about needing a scarf for this chill, but the drip below quickens, almost matching your pulse. The shoji screens quiver, though there's no breeze, their torn paper flapping like eyelids. You glance back, and the lantern's glow from the main hall casts shadows that twist into shapes. A woman's outline, maybe, her head bowed. No record mentions her form appearing, but a 1700 storyteller swore the priestess was seen by the well, her hands dripping with water that smelled of blood. Your candle dips, nearly dying, and the trapdoor's wax feels softer now, yielding under your fingers. The whispers are a chorus coming from the well itself, urging you to lift the seal. You feel a tug, like the temple wants you to see what's below. The drip grows louder, and you swear it's not water but something thicker, splashing in the dark. You'd laugh, say it's just a leaky pipe, but the air hums with intent, and the shadows lean closer, waiting. Your hand presses harder on the trapdoor, and the wax cracks, or a sharp snap that echoes in the corridor. The whispers stop, replaced by a low moan from below, not wind, but something alive, trapped. Your heart pounds and the fog curls tighter, cold and damp, like fingers brushing your neck. The shoji screens rustle again, and you catch a glimpse of that silhouette. Clearer now, her robes tattered, her face still hidden. The well's drip slows, deliberate, like it's calling you. You feel the temple's pulse, or maybe it's your own, and the trapdoor seems to shudder under your hand, ready to reveal its truth. The trapdoor's wax cracks further under your fingers, a sharp sound that echoes like a warning in Horinji's corridor. The fog swirls thicker, cold and heavy, carrying a clammy scent of wet stone and something bitter like burnt herbs left to rot. Your candle's flame is a frail glow, barely pushing back the dark, and the shoji screens along the walls quiver, their torn paper catching glints of moonlight that shouldn't be there. Shadows dance across them, not just yours but others, tall, thin, moving in a slow sway like figures caught in a trance. You hear a soft rustle, not from the screens but from the air itself, as if the temple is breathing. You'd quip about needing a flashlight to chase off ghosts, but your heart's pounding too loud, and the whispers return, low and urgent. Watch. See, coming from the darkness beyond the corridor. Horinji's records from 1603 note the temple's courtyard was designed for moonlit rituals, a fact confirmed by Kyoto's archives. But there's a detail rarely mentioned. Villagers claimed shadows moved in the courtyard at night, even when no one was there. A 17th century monk's diary, hidden in a local shrine, describes seeing figures dancing under the moon, vanishing when approached. Scholars debate this. Some call it optical illusions from lantern light. Others tie it to the priestess's curse, her spirit bound to the temple's grounds. You step toward the corridor's end, where a half-open door leads to the courtyard. The shadows on the screens shift faster, forming shapes, a woman's silhouette, her robes flowing, then a man with a sword. You'd laugh, say it's just your eyes playing tricks, but the rustle grows louder, like fabric dragging across stone. The fog follows you, curling around your legs, and the air grows colder, your breath fogging in the dim light. You notice a faint mark on the doorframe, a spiral, like the ones on the trapdoor and altar, scratched deep, as if with a blade. No record mentions it, but a 1700s folktale claims the priestess carved these symbols to bind her betrayer's spirit. The shadows on the screens sway, and you swear one detaches, gliding across the courtyard outside, silent but deliberate. The whispers sharpen. Here, now. And you feel a pull, like the temple wants you to follow. You joke about needing a ghost tracker, but the air feels electric, prickling your skin. Your candle flickers, nearly dying, and the shadows seem to circle, their movements too smooth, too alive. You push the door open, and the courtyard spreads before you, its cherry trees barren, their branches clawing at the moonlit sky. The shadows are clearer now, dancing in the fog. Figures that vanish when you look directly. The rustle comes again from the ground this time, like footsteps circling you. The whispers hum, not from the walls but from the air, a chant that feels like a warning. Your pulse races, and the shadows pause as if waiting for you to join their dance. The shadows in the courtyard fade, dissolving into the fog, but their presence lingers, a weight on your chest as you stand at Horinji's open door. The air is sharp with the scent of wet leaves and something sour, like vinegar, seeping from the earth. Your candle sputters, its flame barely alive, casting weak light on the barren cherry trees, their branches twisting like veins against the moonlit sky. The whispers hum again, not from the walls, but from the air itself. A low vibration. Listen. Stay. That seems to pulse in time with your heart. You hear a faint chant, distant and rhythmic, like a voice caught in a loop. You'd quip about needing noise-cancelling headphones for ghostly karaoke, but the sound feels too real, too close, crawling under your skin. Horinji's records from 1603 mention a monk who led rituals here, his chants blessing the shogun's dead, a fact noted in Kyoto's archives. But there's a detail rarely shared. His final ritual was never completed. A 17th century temple log tucked away in a local shrine describes the monk vanishing mid-chant, his prayer beads found scattered by the altar. Scholars debate the cause. Some say he fled from fear. Others claim he was taken by the temple's curse, tied to the priestess's betrayal. You step into the courtyard, and the chant grows clearer, a woman's voice, soft but insistent, echoing from the main hall behind you. The fog swirls, cold against your ankles, and you notice a faint glow from the lantern, its light spilling into the courtyard, unyielding. You move toward the altar's direction, and the ground feels soft, almost spongy, like it's breathing. A peculiar mark catches your eye, a spiral carved into a tree trunk, identical to those on the trapdoor and altar, its edges raw, as if freshly cut. No record mentions it, but a 1700s villager's tale claims the priestess's chants lingered in the trees, her voice trapped after her final ritual. You'd laugh, say it's just wind through branches, but the chant shifts, now forming words. Find him, and the air hums, electric, prickling your neck. Your candle flickers, and the shadows twist, forming a figure, a monk, maybe, his robes trailing, then gone. The fog thickens and the chant grows louder, coming from the hall, pulling you back inside. You turn, and the lantern's glow seems to follow, casting long shadows that don't match your own. The air grows colder, your breath fogging, and you hear it again, that chant, unbroken, looping like a prayer that never ends. You joke about needing a playlist change, but the temple feels alive, its pulse in the ground, the trees, the air. The whispers join the chant, a chorus urging you toward the altar, where the monk's ritual stopped. Your heart races, and the fog curls tighter, like hands guiding you back to the hall's secrets. The chant lingers, a ghostly echo fading as you step back into Horinji's main hall, the fog trailing you like a shadow. The air is heavy with a musty scent, like old tatami mats soaked in rain, mixed with something sharp, rusted metal maybe, or dried blood. Your candle's flame wavers, casting jittery light on the altar, where the tarnished bell sits, silent but heavy with presence. The whispers are softer now, a low hum from the walls. Stay. Watch. But the village outside feels distant, as if the temple has swallowed the world. You hear a faint creak, not from the floor but from the courtyard, like someone's pacing just beyond the doors. You'd quip about needing a neighborhood watch for ghosts, but your breath fogs in the chilly air, and the silence feels too fragile to break. Kyoto's records from 1603 confirm Horinji sat at the edge of a small village, its monks serving the locals' spiritual needs. But there's a detail rarely shared. After the priestess's betrayal, the villagers stopped visiting after dusk. A 17th century journal found in a Kyoto shrine notes they feared the temple, claiming its grounds grew too quiet at night, as if the air itself was listening. Scholars debate this. Some call it collective fear after the samurai's betrayal. Others tie it to the priestess's curse, her spirit silencing the village. You glance at the open doors, and the fog outside is thicker, hiding the cherry trees, but you swear you see movement, a shadow, brief and human-shaped, vanishing into the mist. The whispers hum louder, urging you to stay, and you'd laugh, say it's just tired eyes, but your pulse says otherwise. The altar's dark stain catches your eye again, its edges seeming to spread in the dim light. No record mentions it growing, but a 1700s folktale claims the village's silence began when that stain appeared, marking the priestess's final act. The air grows colder and you feel a prickle, like eyes watching from the fog. The creak comes again closer from the courtyard's edge and you notice a faint mark on the floor, a spiral like the others scratched near the door. It's fresh, untouched by dust, as if carved tonight. You joke about needing a security camera, but the whispers shift while he's near, and the air feels electric, pressing on your chest. Your candle dips, nearly dying, and the shadows twist, forming a figure, a woman, her robes trailing, then gone. The village's fear feels real now, the silence outside unnatural, like a held breath. You step toward the doors and the fog curls in, cold and damp, wrapping your legs. The creak stops, but the whispers don't, chanting from the walls, the altar, the air. You feel the temple pulling you, its secrets waiting just beyond the fog, urging you to find the betrayer.